Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Screenwriter Randall Rydell Russell, and I'm bringing you another episode of The Process, where I break down tips, tools, and inspirations about why I want to be a screenwriter itself, movies, and everything in between. All right, so let's get into it. So today what I'm going to do, I'm going to break down my top probably like 500 favorite movies, but I'm going to do 10 at a time and break it down by screenwriter and the movies that screenwriter wrote that I also like. Just kind of almost like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing. All right. So all this is going to be featured on my letterbox, so I'm going to have the link at the end so you can kind of see how I break it all down. But number one, for my favorite movies, The Lost Boys. A lot of people look at me like I'm crazy when I say it's my favorite movie. I've probably watched this movie more than any movie I own. I can say that everything about this movie made me love movies, screenwriting, horror, the whole nine, but Joel Schumacher thought it was too kiddish, so they brought in Jeffrey Boam, who got it to where it needs to be. Now, Jeffrey Boam also wrote three of my other favorite movies that I really care for. He wrote Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is my second favorite Indiana Jones movie. He wrote the Stephen King adaptation, The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken, which was directed by David Cronenberg. And he also wrote the underrated Inner Space, which was directed by Joe Dante and produced by Spielberg. It's the one where Dennis Quaid is a test pilot and he gets really, really small, and he accidentally gets put inside Martin Short, and it's like Fantastic Voyage. Great film. Number two, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. This is probably the movie that had one of the biggest impacts on me growing up. Everything about this movie was it was one of those movies like I knew I wasn't supposed to watch it at a young age, but my parents didn't care because they knew how much I loved it. James Cameron and William Wisher wrote the script for this. Not to knock William Wisher, but we're going to talk about James Cameron. So the other three movies that he wrote that I just love would be the original Terminator, Aliens, and Strange Days, which I think is a completely underrated film. If you haven't seen Strange Days, you need to. It's so damn good. Number three, Boys in the Hood. John Singleton is one of those filmmakers, especially for a black filmmaker, and me being a black filmmaker too. My dad used to watch this like crazy. It was always on repeat in our house, and it still stands the test of time. It's timeless, in my honest opinion. John Singleton wrote this. The other three movies I would say that I really love that he wrote would be Baby Boy, Higher Learning, and Poetic Justice. All three of those are just really good films that kind of show his range as a writer, director, the whole nine. But as a writer, I love him. Number four is Menace to Society. This was written and directed by the Hughes brothers and Tiger Williams. This one's going to be kind of hard because I can't name a whole bunch because they've only really written this and the excellent Dead Presidents. Other than that, they directed lots of great films, but they mostly just, wrote a few movies and directed other people's scripts, which is not bad, but we'll throw Dead Presidents on as one of those good ones. Empire Strikes Back. My favorite Star Wars movie, my fifth favorite film of all time. Probably the best Star Wars movie. You can agree to disagree, but I think it's the best. This was George Lucas wrote the story for all the Star Wars movies, damn near, except for the newer sequels. But it was written by Lee Brackett. Old school writer. She passed before the movie was even going into production. So Lawrence Kasdan, he was hired to write the script, so we got where he was at. So we're not going to talk about George Lucas or Lee Brackett. We're going to talk about Lawrence Kasdan. I like Lawrence Kasdan a lot as a writer. He is also the writer for Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I love. So we're going to throw Raiders of the Lost Ark. An old 80s neo-noir thriller called Body Heat, with William Hurt and Kathleen Turner and Mickey Rourke. It's a good one. Definitely when you're younger, you probably watch that a lot. I know I did. And then I would have to probably throw in Grand Canyon. No, let's erase Grand Canyon from that list and let's put Silverado. I think Silverado is one of the most underrated westerns from the 80s and just of all time. Just a great cast. So those three are the ones I would throw for him. Back to the Future. Back to the Future is still to this day a perfect film in my honest opinion. Every time I watch it like I've never seen it before. It blows my mind how I know George and Lorraine are going to kiss. I know the DeLorean's going to start at the very end so he can get back to 85. But it still hits me in that way. Oh, man, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? So with this, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale wrote the script to all three of these movies. So for them as writers, as a team, I'm going to say the movie Trespass with Bill Paxton, Ice-T, Ice Cube, and William Sadler is another script of theirs that I love. Back to the Future 3. I really like Back to the Future 3 a lot. I actually think it's better than 2. And I'll go and throw Back to the Future 2 just because I don't hate Back to the Future 2. I just think it's the weakest in the trilogy, but it's still a fun movie. But those three are the ones I would pick from Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale as screenplays that I love. Ghostbusters is next on my favorite movie list. I love Ghostbusters. I love everything about Ghostbusters. I love all of them but the girls one. Not because there's girls. It just wasn't a good movie. But yeah. Ghostbusters was written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd. Harold Ramis, rest in peace, was a damn good screenwriter and director. For him, I would say screenplays that he wrote that I loved: Groundhog Day, Caddyshack, and Animal House. Those are just three comedy classics that if anybody's into movies knows and calls screenplays. Those are the three I would give Harold Ramis. Dan Aykroyd, I will give him The Blues Brothers, which is just fantastic. Spies Like Us with him and Chevy Chase, directed by John Landis. And I'll give him Ghostbusters 2. A lot of people hate on Ghostbusters 2. I actually think Ghostbusters 2 is it's really good. Everybody's like, well, it wasn't as good as the first one. Well, watch the first one then. Rocky. This movie gets me emotional every time I watch it. The training scene right before he fights Apollo, when he runs up the stairs and puts his fist up, I get emotional every time. You can ask my wife, you can ask my kids, you can ask everybody. Every time I watch that scene, I tear up. I'm just the whole series is fantastic. But I love Stallone. He's probably going to be my number one on my action list because the fact that he writes his shit, that's what makes me love him as a screenwriter. So for him, I'll give him, because he's written so many scripts, but I got to break it down to 3. Rocky Balboa. I mean, he's written all the Rocky movies except for Creed 1 and 3, but Rocky Balboa is such a good script. It just he put his heart and soul in that, and I know he was trying to make up for 5, but Rocky Balboa is fantastic. First Blood, the first Rambo. Yeah, that's a good script. I know it's a book adaptation, so it's not something from off the head from him, but he got it to where it needed to be, and then his name is what made it get made, so I'll give him that. And then Cliffhanger. I love Cliffhanger. It's such a good 90s action movie. Like I said, it's Die Hard in the snow, and 100% is, so I give Stallone props for all the scripts that he's written. Number 9, Pulp Fiction. It's my favorite Tarantino film. Pulp Fiction is it's everything. It's 90s gold. It just makes, I think it's those movies I tell people, if you want to get into screenwriting or filmmaking, watch this movie. Tarantino is such a damn good writer, and he's written so much stuff. It's hard to break down the top 3. Obviously, I can't throw this because I already picked it as my first, but I'm going to go True Romance. I'm going to go Django Unchained. I think that's such a good script and so well done as a movie. It's just everything about that movie. And then, of course, Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is what put him on the map. And I think it's the one that needs to be talked about. Number 10, John Carpenter's Halloween. with Halloween around the corner, and please believe I'll be doing a lot of horror stuff come next month, so be prepared for that. Halloween is written and directed by John Carpenter, directed and wrote it with Deborah Hill. Rest in peace, Deborah Hill. I love her as a writer too, but this is going to be on John Carpenter's tip. The top 3 scripts from John Carpenter that I would say that I love are The Fog. It's such a good script. I was torn between Halloween 2 and this next one, but I'm going to go Assault on Precinct 13. I love Assault on Precinct 13. It's such a good movie. It's Rio Bravo just modernized. And then Escape from New York. Escape from New York is such a fun film. So well done. It's so cyberpunk. It's pure John Carpenter. That's all the time we have today, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Sorry I've been gone for so long. Just got a lot going on, but I want to get back on here and get back to talking film and screenwriting. And again, this is Screenwriter Randall Rydell Russell, and we'll see you next time.